You said that you became the quote unquote church hoe.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? Walk us through what is that exactly?
It's a term that people have heard. They've possibly said it in their head, but it's reality. You're in church, and if a man walks in, you're the church hoe because you're the first one in his face. And it has nothing to do with God told you to go talk to that man. It has nothing to do with your girlfriend going, "Oh, girl, let's fix you up." You become the church hoe. Any new man walk in, you got the list. Are you married? Been divorced? You have kids? What's your credit score? Where you live? You got a job? You become the church hoe. And literally, I fell into that box, and I fell hard because the first marriage. Hey guys, hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So I was scrolling and came across an interview that I really enjoyed watching. I'll leave it down below so you guys can check it out. I think I've seen this particular podcast before. They were talking to another lady that I really enjoyed. So this one really was really great. And the reason I picked this is because sometimes, you know, when you are a religious woman or a woman that goes to church and things like that, sometimes, you know, I think you might think like you got it figured out like that. You know what I mean? Like you are equipped with some stuff, you know, you're equipped with the word, you're in tune with God and things like that. So you know what to look out for when it comes to dating, marriage, relationships, and all that. But this lady clearly shows that she didn't fully get there yet because she made a lot of mistakes. And the mistakes were pretty much took her 2 marriages, going through a gambling addiction. And then she had some other issues that was happening to her where she was called the church hoe, really seeking for attention and goes after just about any man or woman when they see them at the church. And so she was like, yeah, that's how I became this, because the first time it didn't work out, the divorce, that was a church guy. And then the second time she went back again to the church, and whoever she saw, she was available. She was like, pick me, pick me, pick me. And so by the second marriage, she realized that things were really bad because she had met men in her life that just were not great husbands, you know. They were not great fathers, you know. They treated her with, one was decent just because they were married, but the other one really was not good. So it took her almost 5 years of healing and working on herself and, you know, with the church and things like that, for her to come back to now. Like now she's married, she's happy, and she's met somebody who makes her feel really great and things like that. And she realized like, wow, you know, this is what it's supposed to be. But she made the mistakes. So she mentioned the first time when she started the interview that she became the church HOE because when she saw a man that came in the church, she was ready. She was like, pick me, I'm here, like, see me. So she was so male-centered, and she wanted men to really see her so much because she was dealing with her own insecurities, her own issues. She said that she was constantly thinking, you know, this is a man in the church, therefore there must be of good character. So after 2 marriages, she realized that wasn't the case. This is why I say sometimes you cannot be obsessed with, a man of the church or a man who's religious, because sometimes these are some of the worst men that you can deal with. Because obviously, if you can be with a woman and a woman says, how do you feel about me? And you go, well, you're my wife, I'll take care of you. Instead of saying things like, I love you, I want to make this work, I'm going to protect, I'm going to provide for you. You say things like, I'm here because we have a child. You know what I mean? You're not even caring about this woman to make her feel loved. You know what I mean? So she became somebody who's just looking for that attention. And later on, she said she did other things that I forgot, but she mentioned doing so many different bad things because she just felt that she was out of place. So it's like you're in the church, you're praying, but she said that she didn't even hear the God, you know, when she married the 2 husbands that she had. Like she didn't hear the God approving any of them. And she went right for it because she had this thing in her head of how things were going to be, and it wasn't, you know, because she mentioned like she was struggling. And I love how she was talking about having her daughter, and her daughter was like her light and everything was great. But she mentioned that, you know, she really needed to take a lot of time out to really figure out what the heck was wrong. Because here you are, you're a religious woman, but you're putting yourself in a place where it's like you're chasing after men. And you want this attention so much. So you think, oh, if I went through a divorce the first time, I'm just going to go ahead and meet another church man
and get married again, but nothing changed in those two men. It was kind of the same thing. So I think, as you know, women, I always say be careful about thinking that you go in the church and a guy comes along in the church and you think that somehow this is the one, this is the person, and they're going to do right. But it clearly showed that these churchmen that she was dealing with were not. There was joke that the church is like a hospital because there's so many people who have dealt with so many issues that are there. So you have to be careful about getting excited because you see a man at church. You know what I mean? If anything, you need time. I'm not saying that they're all bad, but you need time. And you also need to work on yourself, and you need to be doing your prayers and get in touch with God. And they say, a lot of people have said God has shown them, who was going to be their husband and things like that. Sometimes people have just forced that because they see somebody they like, somebody that looks good. She mentioned like there was a guy that was like 6'2", 280 pounds who played, football, and he was in the church, and she was like, yeah, that's him. Kind of forcing it to be the one that she's supposed to marry. So it's like she fully didn't, do the work. And she even went to, church counseling and then also a regular counselor. And the counselor that she was talking to was like, yeah. And I loved how she said in the end, husband now, when she asked the husband, how do you feel about me? The husband was like, I don't have a lot of physical things to offer you as far as like expensive things, a car and all that. I don't have this and I don't have that, but I know I'm going to love you for the rest of my life and all that. And she melted. Her heart just opened and she cried because she was like, that was the answer that she wanted the first time and the second time in her marriages. She never got that. She didn't feel protected, The guy was just existing that she was with before. And the guy also, his second marriage, had so many kids, I think like 4. And she was actually raising some of these kids, helping him, because that's how nice she was. So she became like a stepping mat where the guy is just like going out, cheating on her, having babies and bringing them back. And she just took them on. So I really loved the interview. I think she really did, was honest and took the accountability. And you know how they say the truth sets you free? I think that's what's happening. She's feeling so much better now and she's so much happier because she realized, oh, these are the things that I was dealing with. Even though I was in the church, I'm praying. She was praying and doing all this stuff. She was still broken and jumping from one man to another, thinking that some things were going to be different. So imagine, let's say you go into the church. The first marriage doesn't work. You try another one. You get married again. You try again, third marriage, fourth marriage. When does it stop? When does it stop and you realize like, hey, wait a minute. What's going on here? You know what I mean? So that's kind of like what I liked. She said, hey, at the second marriage, she was like, uh-oh, I need to take a break. So she took 5 years to work on herself. And you could see the difference, because she was like, now it's about me. And she was like, I even went to restaurants by myself, and she was kind of dating herself, kind of trying to learn herself, to figure herself out. And so at the end of the day, even if you're religious or not, or, you're a woman of God, you still have to do the work to figure out yourself. Because if you're not solid, like I would say, inside, it doesn't matter whether you're a church person, whether you're praying, that also is a part of it. You have to be all good on the inside so you don't make certain mistakes. Combined with God and prayers, that's amazing, like you're just going to be so amazing in so many ways. But just one-sided where you're kind of like, it doesn't work. So you have to take your time. And there's a prayer that I heard that this lady said that was really excellent about really letting God help you and guide you to meet the person you're supposed to meet. And not trying to push it, and try to make somebody compatible with you. But letting God speak to you and give you the signs, I think that was nice because she said that the third husband that she has now, and everything felt very calm. She wasn't chasing. It's like he had to assure her of how he was going to be a husband, and it wasn't her pushing it. You know what I mean? So I'm talking too much, but I just wanted to use this example, that relationships, marriages, and all that, everybody deals with that, right? You could be somebody who is religious, who goes to church every day, knows the Bible, but you could still make certain mistakes. And, I know with church people, yeah, you're going to worry about, prayers and all that and God. But at the end of the day, you still need to be all good on the inside. And God can help with that as well, working on yourself so that you can see red flags. You can see what's wrong with you at the end of the day that's causing you to make the same mistakes again, and then fix it and get to the place where things are so much better.